Oh no.
I know, watch out. Recording in progress. All right. Hi, everybody. You may notice that Coach Kristin and myself are not in the same room together, and this is causing a little bit of separation anxiety, I must admit, but that's totally fine. But today we have our second course talk via a meeting of the minds, if you will. To really talk about manifestation, and Coach Kristin is one of our experts in manifestation. So, what have you got for us today, Coach Kristin?
Ooh, expert. I don't know. I don't know. I'm a willing participant in manifestation. Expert, I don't know yet. I'll let you know. Yeah, I'm very, very passionate about manifestation. That word might have a little bit of a wobble to it for some people because it's kind of part magic, part practical. But, you know, when the rubber hits the road, literally every possible conceivable thing was created from a thought.
Mm,
A pen. Somebody had a really great idea that instead of dipping a quill in ink that spills all the time, we ought to make something that has a thing on the end where you can put it in your hand and write. Voila, the thing was manifested.
mhm,
So, right down to things like inventions to, well, what's my day going to be like?
mm,
Like these are things that we actually have a lot of ability to control.
mm.
And lately, I'm just fascinated by it. Like I said, I'm a willing participant in trying all things manifestation. So that's just kind of where I'm at.
Okay, cool. And so you are also a Big Leap coach. And for the people out there who've never heard of Big Leap before, because it's a pretty cool concept, but I think, what exactly is a Big Leap coach, and what drew you to that type of practice?
Mm, I love that question. There was a book called The Big Leap. It's always not far from my reach. Written by Gay Hendricks. I think it was back in 2008. So, Gay Hendricks and his wife, Kathleen, are incredible human beings. They've been therapists for decades, but they've really brought their practices into certain formulas that just really work, practices. But being a big league coach just means that I've been through their process of certification, taking a series of courses where at the end I'm a certified big league coach, and I'm also a support team for those trainings now, which helps me just be able to do it over and over and over again and just keep learning more and more and more. But the big leap is really all about finding our genius,
Mm,
right? Living in our genius, working in our genius. It's not just work, and I think his work really applies to a lot of people in industry and business.
mhm,
But it's we work in our genius in many ways every day of our lives. It's really that thing that we're gifted at doing that doesn't really feel like work,
mm.
but yet we get all the spoils and benefits and enjoyment and pleasure from doing it. So I think you as a career coach are somebody who has their finger on the pulse of that kind of, inspiration that people are looking for in their work. It might start as a resume, but it ends up as, wow, I never thought that I could do that. Who would have thought that I could do that? And that's the kind of stuff I love helping people with every day. For me, when my work, it starts with nutrition. People think they're going to, talk to me about going on a diet or something like that. And then they realize, wow, food really brought me up against my issues, my uh, as Gay Hendricks calls it, upper limit, that place where we can only get to a certain height and then we bang against it, we drop back down again. Whether it's imposter syndrome, whether it's a persona we've adopted from childhood, whatever.
Yeah,
Did I answer the question?
sure. No, of course it is. I'm trying to think of, like, yeah, because all of the, I don't know, it's just kind of, it's funny. It's like when you talk about this stuff, like, so much other stuff comes up, and it's, trying to think about, like, yeah, I don't know, everything is so layered, right? And you're right. One you put it in a framework of one thing, right? One thing starts as what you think is a simple thing, but it ends up being something that you didn't even expect or didn't even realize. And I think every experience that you have really does bring up, a kind of a connection to a next experience or a connection to a past experience that the way I've always equated it is it kind of sits in your spine and it comes out, when you are introduced to, the right area or, the right person, time, something sparks, and whatever that could be and wherever that happens to lead you. It's lately I've been very much on the side of every connection you make is a connection, regardless of how brief it could be.
Mhm.
And I think that, in thinking about hearing what you're saying is that kind of really is like everything really bottom line is it's all interconnected. Um, it's that spark, it's that idea, it's that pen where it's just kind of like, a pen makes things easier. How? Like we're not writing with quills anymore, unless you want to, which is pretty great.
Cool.
Calligraphy, awesome. If you practice calligraphy out there, cool.
Keep going.
But we don't necessarily have to do that anymore. Somebody got an idea for how to make something like writing more efficient. Um, so yeah, it definitely answers the question because it's kind of like what what ignites that purpose in you, and how do you move that forward? And I think that's a lot of the places where we all tend to get stuck because there's something that's holding us back, but exactly what is that? So I think that's really interesting. If it's okay to say out loud, you can say out loud what you want, um and then you have to do the work to follow up on it.
You should say out loud what you want. You should
Yeah.
write it. You should think it. You should feel it. You should
Mhm.
say it out loud. You should
Yeah.
be bold about it.
Yeah.
I want money. I want joy. I want
Yes.
travel. I want pleasure. I want great connection in my relationships. It starts with what you want
Yeah.
and then the steps to get there. And then lo and behold, you're going to bump up against that next thing that you need to overcome to continue on that journey. And that's what I love about the Hendrix work is it gives you tools to overcome those things. And there's plenty of ways and practices that we can do that. And I think that's kind of the role of our work as coaches and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, but certainly, yes, state it.
Mhm. Yeah. I think that's important too. I think that's one of the questions that I tend to ask is, what do you want? And I don't I try to stay away from it. Sometimes it slips out, but what do you want to do? Well, the answer that comes back is I don't know. Exactly. That's the whole point, like, but what do you actually want? And it's okay to be perfectly honest with yourself. That's a really important point. And I think that really is the part of coaching. And I think, to your point earlier, it's like going, oh, coach, whatever. It gets all woo woo, that kind of thing. It's like, no, it's not. It's actually trying to remove your blocks to help you think a strategy. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Like you're blocking yourself. And sometimes you just need that third ear to be like, okay, yeah, I know exactly where you're at. Can I take that block out of the way for you? And oh, by the way, since the block's out of the way for you, hey, can you see more clearly? Cool. Got it. Like it's not, I'm not, I'm telling you, like, I'm more of like an honesty based, practice. So, I'm not going to BS anybody because like, I do not think I think that's a time waster, quite honestly. But, if people can see in real time, honest feedback and, kind of like hear something about themselves that they aren't used to hearing or, really believe in their potential. I could do that all day. That's been my entire career. I know for me, that's why I'm a career coach and a training consultant, because there is nothing like being able to help a person realize, hey, you're worth more than this. It's okay. You're like, do you understand how important you are in like the whole microcosm of like this entire organization, that kind of thing. And I like doing that, but I'm not there. I am not a very I'm not a you can do it kind of person because that would sound creepy coming out of my mouth. So I like to try to be as honest as possible, but it's really just that it's where Purpose Geek comes from. It's that geekery of, being able to see people realize their purpose, and it can be anywhere. So that's what I really enjoy about that.
I love that. I love that. The verb geeking. I'm
Yeah.
geeking my way.
Yeah. Just geeking my way through it.
And, and it's not to say that knowing what you want is even easy because, a lot of our blocks is that we were never asked what we wanted our whole life.
Yeah.
We were given choices and said, you can have this, or this.
Yeah.
You can be a doctor, lawyer, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or, you have to go to college. You have to.
Mhm.
And then as adults, we're kind of like, "Gunk. You mean all this time, I really did have choices? I really can say what I want?"
Yep.
That is a big leap for some people right there,
Yes.
doing that. But I think the validation and permission that we give as coaches is maybe something people haven't heard or don't quite believe,
Yeah,
or are very or so rigid that that one little block you said just knocks the whole thing down,
absolutely.
and then you can really, connect with what it is that you would really like to do.
Absolutely. And be honest about it too. I mean, like you can easily say like, I want to marry a billionaire. Well, it's okay. That you may not. But it's okay to say that out loud because it's kind of like I think you're to your point, right? It's and this has been something that I think I always talk generationally. There are certain generations that were like, okay, by the way, you have to do A, B, C, and D. It's like if I were asked, why did you go to college? I was asked that question. I'm like, that was the next step, I thought, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, for me, it was what I needed to do in my career, because I knew where I wanted to go with my career. So for me, a degree, was kind of that was the path to it. But now, like, and I figured this out early. Like I figured this out in my 20s. Hi, everybody. I'm not in my 20s. Sorry. But I mean, I figured that out and I started to, kind of say that to teenagers as well, because it was like, look, if you're 17, 18 years old and you're feeling pressured to go to college and you don't know what you want to do, then it's okay to take a step back and go, look, I don't know what I want to do. And really take your time and think about it and decide on it, kind of go where your gut takes you. And we don't often do that a lot, and we're not really encouraged to do that, especially quite honestly at a young age. And I think there's also a point where you never stop learning either. And so just because we may have figured out, okay, this is the path I want to take, even if you end up on that path, there's so many different steps on that path that like there's so many different avenues that you could go down. And I know that I say that a lot to people as well, of combine your passions with what you're doing, whether it's through a volunteer job or maybe you take a couple of side jobs or whatever it is. If you're interested in it, express your interest in it. Go, it's community classes all over the place. Go take a community class in cake decorating or something,
Mhm.
or crocheting if that was something you were always interested in. Everything, again, everything is just so connected, and it kind of gives you a nice outlet as well.
Totally, totally agree. Hindsight's always 2020, and
Yeah.
sometimes you can look back and really see the magic of it,
Hmm.
but not while you're in the midst of it. But I
No.
think what manifestation is partnering with it being in the midst of it,
Hmm.
rather than things happening to you, which is a victim mentality.
Hmm.
Everything happens to me,
Yeah.
versus being a creator, which is what manifestation's all about. You're literally creating what comes next. And it's not like, well, I'm going to marry a millionaire. I
Yeah.
want to marry a millionaire. You might.
Mhm.
There might be
Oh,
more.
I said billionaire.
A
So
billion. Oh well,
yes,
I'll take a
I'm
million.
aiming high.
I'm already married. She's not a millionaire, but I allow the potential for either of us to become millionaires.
Absolutely.
But I hope you marry a billionaire for sure.
Yes.
I digress. So there may be more steps in getting to marrying a billionaire
Yeah.
there is to just starting step by step today. What can I do to move me uh, towards my genius, what I'm meant to be doing, even in this day. There's
Mhm.
moments of genius. There's careers of it. It's just this beautiful spiral of creating and being creative,
Mhm.
and then a willingness to kind of explore when you butt up against something and say, well, what did I do here? I seem to have hit a block or an obstacle. What's this about?
Yeah.
How did that happen? What was I thinking? What was I doing? What was I feeling? Was this a reaction or a projection of something from, that rubbed up against something uncomfortable from my past or memory or something like that. And it's a beautiful time to explore it so that we can be with it and continue to progress forward instead of letting that thing constantly pull
Mm,
us, because often they're old stories.
yeah.
Old stories. You probably see it in your clients. One of the first things, on discovery call, or the first call, is the long list of reasons they've never accomplished what they've set out to do. And then it's kind of like that same story over and over. I
Yeah.
love Joe Dispenza says it's breaking the habit of being yourself.
Yeah.
If you wake up the same person with the same thoughts and the same actions, the same doing day after day after day after day, you're recreating the exact same experience day after day after day. So we have to get out of those patterns.
Yeah.
And being a creator is stepping out of that victim position and coming into partnership with your creativity. And honestly, the word creativity used to scare me because I always equated it with art or
Yeah.
being artistic or expressive. And I never perceived myself to be that. So I'm like, I'm not creative. Creative. I don't even, I mean, I have a pair of scissors here. That's as creative as I cut a piece of paper. So then the shift is, well, guess what? Creativity is just any way that we think or move in a way that's just in flow.
Nice. All
Um,
right. So I have two questions for you. Number one, if you could just recommend one simple step for people to take. So this is your first question. If you could recommend one simple step for people to take today, what would you recommend?
I call it place your order.
Okay.
And we talked about this once before, I think, in one of our talks.
Yeah.
But literally, it's a piece of paper, or however you want to record it. Well, let's even reverse that to, like, first waking up in the morning
Mhm.
every day.
Mhm.
Waking up in the morning, thinking about your day, and place your order for the day. I do this every morning now. I run through exactly what I'm doing, and I think, okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the gym. I
Yeah.
don't say, well, I hope I go to the gym. I'm like, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to come home. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to meditate real quick for about 10 minutes. And then I'm going to hop on that first call at 10 a.m. with my first client. I'm going to serve that client. We're going to connect. I'm going to be in my genius. It's going to flow. Then I literally run through with the expectation that it's going to go exactly as I desire it to go.
Nice.
And even Gay Hendricks calls that uh, concept is like Einstein time. You make your own time. You
Yeah.
perceive your own time. So it's kind of the expectation of flowing through the day versus stumbling through the day one step behind.
Mm.
So thinking about it is getting ahead of it, getting more creative. And then I make, by when lists. So there's daily stuff, and then there's by the end of the week, end of the month. I don't go much further than that. I'm more of a real time manifester. I have a loose awareness of what's coming, of course, but I create day by day or week by week. And I have very basic things on my list on a day to day basis, but I also throw some things in there to remind myself of my bigger desires. Like I'll say, send paperwork to this client. I have to buy my mom something for her birthday. I want to go to the card store today. And I have down here, I'm going to sign 2 clients to my packages by the end of the month.
Yeah.
So I just have it on my to-do list. Like, yeah, I'm going to check that off.
Yeah.
It's kind of an expectation I'm putting on the universe, but it's also actionable.
Yeah.
There's meetings to be had. There's people to connect with. And so there's like, there's some action, then there's some let it flow, some action, let it flow.
Yeah.
But I think one of the biggest steps is making that, placing your order in the morning. And then when you go to bed at night, how did it go? Be great, connecting with gratitude, ordering a good night's sleep
Mhm.
is something that I find works very well. I expect my body is going to rest deeply. I'm going to wake up refreshed in the morning. I'm going to get up. I'm going to go to the gym. So then I just run it through. So it's this constant creative energy that's always in flow of some sort.
Nice. That's a good step. Because like,
What do
yeah,
you
thinking about
recommend?
that, It's so funny, like, when I was a leader, I would have this to-do list every single day, and then anything that I couldn't get to, which we all laugh, if you ever led or you're a manager, you're not getting to that to-do list. You get maybe 2 down, and then everything else went to the next day. We do that at work, but we don't do that in life. And I think, if you make that list, every single day, you're like, okay, if I didn't get to the last thing on the list, we move it to the next day and we just keep going forward. It's constant growth. So I like that. If people needed more tips from you, or if they wanted to learn more about Big Leap and manifestation and placing your order, where can they go?
Well, first of all, they're always welcome to contact me as a coach. But I'm running, and I should say not but, and I'm running another. We've done this before. It's been great. It's been very well received. I'm running a 4-week manifestation workshop with a coach and colleague, Leanne Hannigan, who is an expressive writing coach and a veteran teacher. So we partner to, basically I teach about the principles of manifestation. I run through some exercises, whether it's breathing or visualizations or things of that nature. And she does writing prompts that are just spectacular. So ways that we can get into flow through writing. And by the end of the workshop, you'll have a piece, which is a very clear representation of the life you desire to move towards, in whatever aspect. And I love that you said that we make these to-do lists at work, but we never do them for ourselves.
Never.
Maybe we do them at home, like a grocery list, but this is a list for your life.
Yeah.
This will include what travel, is it travel? Is traveling something you want to do?
Right.
Is it a great new relationship? Is it getting a new car?
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
What is it? Yeah.
That's where we get creative, and and if any obstacles arise, we go over those as well.
Nice.
And that is 4 Tuesdays starting February 20th from 6 to 7:15 p.m. This one is in person. It's at the Reiki School and Clinic in Lambertville, New Jersey.
Okay.
After this one, we plan to also launch a virtual version. So it is fun. We really, it's a great group of supportive individuals working, muddling it through together.
Nice. I love that. So you heard it here first, everybody. So if you're local to the New Jersey area, the Lambertville, New Jersey area, you can take the workshop live and in person starting February 20th. If you need a recorded version because you live in Kentucky, it will soon be a recorded version, which is amazing. And for more information on everything Coach Kristin, go to coachkristin9.com.
Thank you, my friend.
You're very welcome. Here's to the next recipe, but not today.
Not today, but I'm mulling over some really awesome, some snacks for the big game coming up.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we plan to see more recipes on that in the future, everybody, and place that order.
Place your order, please. Let me know how it goes.
It's awesome. See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.